Have you ever found yourself in a situation where something suddenly happened and you instantly exploded? Maybe you screamed at someone in anger or you broke down in tears suddenly. And then, once it was over, you sat there thinking, what was that? I mean, why did I react it like that? It was way too much. I totally overreacted. What is wrong with me? Maybe you even started to believe that you always overreact and that you are sometimes too much or too sensible. But what if I told you that there is no such thing as overreacting? That your reaction in that moment actually made a lot of sense. How does that make you feel? Confused? In disbelief? Let me explain you why that's true and how you can start feeling better about those moments. To really understand what's going on inside you in those intense moments, I would recommend you checking out my video on emotions, why they are so important, and do negative feelings create negative reality. In those videos, I break down how emotions move through us energetically, and that will give you a better foundation for what I'm about to share. So let's go back to the beginning. Literally, as babies, we all started out more pure, open, and unconditioned. I always come back to childhood in my videos because that's where so much of our adult behavior and beliefs come from. Just think about it. Most of what you believe, the way you do things, isn't really yours. It was passed down to you, taught by your parents, your family, and the people around you. They shaped you based on their version of reality, their beliefs and ways on doing and being. This is what I call the programming. From a young age, we are all programmed to fit into certain society boxes. And let's be honest, our society is full with limitations. Just think back to your childhood. How often were you told things like, no, that's not how it's done. Don't be like that. No, that's impossible. Oh, you are being way too delusional. Just stick with what is safe. And don't dream too big because the fall will be even bigger. Look, some teachings actually help us survive, but the majority of them only makes us more and more disconnected from who we truly are. I mean, how many times have you felt a really strong emotion, something deep inside of you that you couldn't understand? And you then had a reaction. Maybe you cried a lot suddenly, you got angry, yelled, or maybe you just froze. And what did people around you say? Probably something like, oh my God, you're totally overreacting. There is no reason for you to act like this. Do you want me to give you a reason? Oh my God, just stop that acting. Or maybe they even made fun of you. And here's the thing, you probably don't even remember most of those moments. That's how good your ego is in hiding things from you. But your ego is not trying to hurt you. It never is. Your ego does that to protect you. It's always trying to keep you safe in the way that it knows how. And that can be in a healthy way or in a really toxic way. So from a young age, we started to learn what it is okay to feel, to do or express, and even for how long. There is a time limit. We were taught where this line is of what is considered normal and being a good person and what gets labeled as too much, too emotional, too weird, or even too crazy. And that line becomes kind of an internal map, guiding us how we show up in the world, often at the cost of being our true selves. By now, you'll probably notice that society really struggles when it comes to dealing with emotions, especially when it comes to understanding and dealing with them in a healthy way. And what do people do when they don't understand something? They judge it. They push it away. They get uncomfortable, maybe even scared or resentful of it, and start believing it will hurt them more. This is what has happened with emotions for thousands of years. Even though they are a completely natural part of being a human, society had put all these limits on them. on what you are allowed to feel, how much you can feel it, and for how long is acceptable to feel that way. So, when you were a baby, everything that you felt and saw or did, it was the first time. And in those moments, it was up to our caregivers to help us understand what were we feeling for the first time, to show us how to process these big emotions, release them in a healthy way, so that we can do it on our own. And I mean, they did try in the way that they knew how. So maybe by giving us something to distract us, by ignoring our cries and hoping and waiting until we would stop on our own, by punishing us, beating us, especially if they got frustrated. But they didn't do it out of pure evil. I mean, the majority not. They were just doing what they were taught. They didn't know any better or differently. The problem is, although they meant so well, those reactions just added more limitations instead of helping us heal. So instead of learning how to feel the emotions, process them, and liberate them, we learn how to suppress them, deny them, ignore them. And little by little, we became more and more disconnected from who we truly are. So when you reach a point as an adult where you suddenly explode, or what people often call as overreacting, what's really happening is two things. First, you are experiencing the emotional limitations that were taught to you by others. And second, you are dealing with a build-up of old, unreleased emotions that have been sitting inside you for years and years. The first part we already talked about is the limitation that society taught you to only express a certain amount and for a certain limit of time. Now, let's look at the second part with a simple example. Imagine that you are at work right now, and today it's not a really good day. You are having a rough day, and you are tired, maybe even stressed, and you are hungry right now. And you are finally wanting to head to lunch when a coworker stops you and asks you for help. You actually don't want to, but they really insist and say it is urgent and all that, and you think, you know what, let me just fix this pretty quickly and then I go eat. So you sit down to help. Let's say that is something on their computer, and for some reason nothing is working, and this gets you even more frustrated. And meanwhile, that coworker, well, he is off chatting there with someone else, and you are stuck trying to fix this issue. Then they come back and they ask, so were you able to fix it? And boom, you snap. You lash out. You feel that heat rise up and you just burst out. You cannot control it. Now let's just pause for a second. If I ask you, why did you explode? What would you say? Because you were hungry? Because you really needed a break? Because the other person was chilling while you were there? Sure, those things really play a small part. But do you really think that all that explosion came just from being hungry and needing a break? Or because the other was chatting? What if I told you that what happened was just a surface symptom? Just one little spark thrown into a container already filled with gasoline. What I mean by this is that for a person to get to a point where it just explodes or overreact, it means they already have a container full of unreleased emotions that came from similar events throughout the years. Just think about it. If you have ever felt like you overreacted, you exploded, and later you realize that, the other person actually didn't deserve all that level of response, then ask yourself, how many things have I had to swallow and ignore for it to get to that point? The moment wasn't just about being hungry or tired. If you really allowed yourself to dive into those emotions, you will discover the real reason for that outburst. It is never just random. That attempt, explosion, that outburst was your way to finally make people see you, listening to you and hear you. Because you have been hiding yourself and holding yourself back for far too long. You have been unable to express what is inside to others. And look, I know you have thousands of reasons, valid reasons, for why you don't express yourself fully. Maybe because you are scared, maybe because you don't want to cause any conflict, or maybe because you already know that they will not understand, or maybe because you were taught that is not okay to express, and so on. But here's the question. At what cost are you willing to keep going like this? Are you willing to carry that emotional weight for more years and years? Are you willing to get physically healed because your body cannot handle that energy for much longer? Are you okay with exploding again and again and end up hurting someone you really care about in the process? Are you ready to live with that guilt afterward? In that example, if you really took the moment to look inward, you might realize that the outburst wasn't just about that situation. It was about feeling unseen. Maybe you felt used, unappreciated, or like you couldn't speak up for yourself. Because in that moment, if you truly honored your own needs, you could have said something like, hey, look, I really would love to help you, but only after the break. Or you could say something like, look, I cannot help you right now, but there is a person there that can help you and is free, for example. But instead, you say yes when you really meant no. And by doing that, you end up feeling frustrated and undervalued. Just think about other examples and situations like this that you had in your life. Now, I cannot tell you the exact reasons behind your reaction. That part is for you to discover. What I gave, was just examples that I've seen in myself and in others that I worked with and helped. The real insight comes when you allow yourself to feel the emotions, to sit with them and express them honestly. That's when the truth will come up. The choice to change is completely yours. Only you know when enough is enough. And that's something really important for you to become aware. You always have a choice. Always. But every choice comes with consequences. So ask yourself, do you really want to keep carrying this pain for more years and years, seeing yourself as less because you think you are too much or not enough? Or are you ready to face those uncomfortable emotions and finally release them? You get to choose your consequences, the pain of holding in or the temporary but intense discomfort of healing and letting go. If you are ready to give this a try, here's how you can start sitting with your emotions and begin to understand more deeply and release them. So first of all, if you've never really tried to sit with your emotions, just feel them in your body, noticing the sensations, then that's the best place to start for you. Until now, most of us were taught to run away from our emotions. So when you try to feel them for the first time, your ego, your rational mind will fight back. And you will end up feeling nothing. Because that's what he was trained to do until now. And that's normal. It doesn't mean that you are doing something wrong. It just means that you are unlearning a habit that has been with you for a long time. So here, there are a lot of different techniques that you can try. So see what works the best for you. So here you can try to use, for example, a simple meditation to focus on the body awareness and feeling. You can use breath work, yoga, static dance. You can go to a rage room and then smash everything, or do a cold plunge, and so on. The choice is yours. Just be aware that first you have to deprogram your ego. The way that he protected you until now has to change. But you cannot do it by going inside with judgmental and demanding your ego or rational part to just change and stop this. that will not work and actually will create more conflict within you. Now, once you are ready to go deeper, you will need to decide if it is something that you want to explore on your own, or if it would be better to do it with someone who knows how to hold that space for this kind of work. That fear of going deep can be really strong and intense in you that will enable you to feel or see the truth. So having someone there in the first times can actually make a huge difference. And if you feel called for, I'm really happy to support you through this. You can just book a session online with me and then we will go deeper together. If you would rather do this on your own, that's absolutely possible. Just know that you will need to be really honest and specific with yourself. The more details you can express, the more effective this process will be. So here you can start by finding a quiet place where you won't be interrupted and you can sit down or stand up, whatever feels right for you. You can also put some music to help you connect or focus. The root chakra and the throat chakra music works amazing here. Then you can start by taking a few deep breaths in and out to ground yourself, and then set the intention to release what has been stuck inside. You can say something like this: I am ready to hear and understand what has been stuck inside of me. And now, with your eyes open or closed, you can start to bring that situation that triggered you to your mind. Start by really feeling like you are there again, and start to express only the anger and frustration that you felt in that moment. You can use sentences like, I hate when, it makes me mad that, because of you, I can't stand, and so on. Let all that energy out. Don't hold back. Just keep going and going until you feel like there is nothing left to say in that layer. And once you have fully expressed that anger, you will notice when that time is there, then you can move to the next layer. What actually hurt you. This is where you get honest about the pain underneath the anger. You can use sentences like, I'm so hurt by, it makes me sad that, it hurts when, and so on. And again, say it until you feel like you have released everything that needs to be released from that place. And only then you can go even deeper. And now answer the following questions. Where else in your life have I felt this way? What other moments from my past brought up the same kind of feelings? Who was involved? What happened? How did it make me feel? Maybe even worse than now? How often have I felt this way? Let yourself connect the dots and allow all that memory to come up. So give it time. And when you are done through all those layers, then the next step is understanding. This is where you show compassion to yourself. You can use sentences like, it makes sense that I felt this way because I understand why I reacted like that. It came from. I can see now that my fear was. This hit me really hard because. Again, after everything came out. Now, finally, we can close the process with clarity and more healing. Speak your truth and your intentions. You can use this sentence. I regret that. I didn't meant to. I want forgiveness for. Deep down in my heart I want. My purest intentions are. I hope that. I see the solution could be. You can use different sentences here. I'm just giving you some examples. And then after all that releasing, you can then take a few deep breaths in and out, allowing yourself to come back, to be in the present moment. And that's it. Now, just a note here. If you have a trauma, so a really negative memory attached to this type of event, then it can be that you need to do a trauma healing session. Something that is more intense, but that it will help you release that heaviness of that painful memory. If that's the case, you can ask for help, do it with someone that you really feel comfortable with. And of course, I'm also here to help you if you need. Now, after you release all these emotions, but you still feel bad about how you treated the other person, especially if it's someone really close to us. I mean, parents tend to feel this a lot with their own kids. It happens a lot that they suddenly explode. Look, just know that it is super common, okay? It happens, and it doesn't make you a bad person. What really matters the most is what do you do next? The best thing here you can do for them and for yourself is to be honest. Go towards them and tell them the truth. Let them know that you reacted that way because you were feeling unseen, unheard, and overwhelmed. And by expressing like that was the only way, it was actually automatic that it came, but it was the only way for you to feel seen and respected. And if you can't say it face to face, write a letter, send a message, leave a voice note, whatever feels doable. Yes, you will feel embarrassed at first. It is uncomfortable. But what comes after is loads of relief. And you will finally be able to just move forward, focus on making their connection good again, forgive yourself, and then respond differently the next time. Instead of having to carry around that guilt, that shame, and thinking of ways of avoiding that, which you will only end up accumulating more and more of those emotions that just builds up and explodes again later. And here's something really important that I want you to remember. Never ever let someone tell you that you are overreacting, that you should stop feeling whatever you are feeling. The moment you stop yourself from expressing what feels real for you, that energy stays stuck, trapped inside of you. It doesn't disappear, it just piles up, and now you have to carry it. If you are not comfortable expressing in front of others, that's okay. Do it alone in the beginning, in your room, outside, in the car, whatever. Or reach out to someone who can hold that space for you, someone who understands how to be present with those emotions when they come up. But please, don't ever believe that you are too much or too sensitive. There is no such thing as too many emotions. Those limitations come from society, from people who were never allowed to show emotions, from people who never dare to look inside of them, who never tried to understand what they were feeling. So be different, be brave, and feel as much as you can. Express as much as you are able to, and liberate all that your friends, family, and all others never had the courage to liberate. Be emotional. I hope this helped you in some way, and as usual, I wish you a very nice week.